what do I need for online learning? And I'm one of your presenters, Nazmin Khanum. I work as a learning developer for the Skills for Learning Centre. And your other presenter is Jancy Johnson, who works as part of Digital Skills Trainer. So you'll hear both of us throughout the session. And we will be answering your questions towards the end of the session. So before we start, I'll just go through some guidelines for you. So if you've got any questions or comments, please use the question and answer field that you can find in your right-hand corner. I can see some of you have already started using it. If you've got questions you'd like for us to answer regarding what we're saying, please address it to the panelists. In that way, all of us will be able to see your questions. Where possible, we will try to answer the questions in short through text. Otherwise, please wait towards the end of the session where we will take at least 20 minutes just to go through your questions. You may be aware that we've got a large number of attendees. So for this reason, we will try and get through the slides. And then, as I said earlier, we'll answer your questions towards the end. And this session will be recorded so you can have access to it afterwards, as I mentioned. Thank you. So here are our learning outcomes for today. So first of all, we're going to go through what online learning is and the environment at LSBU. So now most of you should already be enrolled or in the process of enrollment. So some of what we're saying today may be familiar to you, other areas may be new, but it's good anyway for you to have a refresher and also get used to the different domains that you will be using. And also, this session is quite useful because you can find out how to develop your learning and digital skills to make the most of online study. So what a lot of you may be aware of is that your first semester is most likely to be mainly taking place through online sessions. Some of you may have attended the sessions we delivered in the last couple of weeks, so it gives you a little taste of what learning may look like. And with your programs, you've probably got some welcome week sessions that you'll be attending. So I think it's good that you're taking these opportunities to attend these sessions so that you become more familiar and it will help you on your programs. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you a poll, and I'd like for you to take part in this. You'll have a minute to answer. So, just one moment. So it should be loading shortly. Sorry, Jancy or Ross, can you see the poll? If you just put in the comment.
Yes, I can.
Excellent. Okay, so you've all got a minute to complete this. Lovely. I can see a lot of you are pretty fast, and we've got most of our responses already. Very good. I can see that most of you are using laptop devices, which is quite common. There are some. Yeah. Lovely. You've got 10 seconds left and it will close. Thank you. Right. Oh, yeah. There we are. So I can see the majority of you, as I said earlier, are using laptop devices, which can be useful, but at the same time, with lots of apps and so forth, other times can be quite a struggle, especially if you've got loads of windows running at the same time. And some of you are actually using just your phone, which that would be quite a struggle, I'd say, especially if you're on the program, on these sort of programs. So we're now going to go on to the second question. So this is in terms of the devices you're using to support your studies as well. I'm going to close this one. It should be open right now. Lovely. So again, you'll have a minute. Your response rates are even faster this time. Okay. So most of you, I can see, are using search engines to support you. It'd be interesting actually to know which ones, because some give you more refined results than others, but that's the overwhelming majority. Some of you are using online databases. That's the second most popular answer, and I think it's good for those of you who are using those, because you'll notice that you'll be advised to use online databases for your reading list and other areas. So it's good that if you are using multiple forms. For those of you who are using a combination, that's probably the best way. So if you're not already using some of the methods you can see in the poll, I would definitely advise that you make a note of these, and at the end of the session, you start to look at how the different ways you can access information to help support you on your studies. I think we've come to the end of that poll. Yeah, so the popular answers are search engines and databases. Some of you are using social media a lot, obviously with caution, because you know that there's so much fake news, and we have to be very cautious of supporting evidence. So we wouldn't want to be seeing you using social media to reference your academic study. That's just a word of caution as you move ahead on your program. Thank you for your participation in that. It should close soon. So I'm just waiting for the poll to close, and then I can move ahead. Excellent. Perfect. Okay, so the next area that I'm going to discuss with you are the different modes of online learning and what you may come across. Now, as you can see, there's the sort of word cloud on the right-hand side. These are some of the common terminology you will come across throughout your learning, especially in this first semester. So it's good to make a note of those words that you're already familiar with and those that you're not. So obviously we're very used to desktops and using them and so forth, but there's other terms you'll see within the word cloud that may not be so familiar to you. So I'm going to point one out just to give you an example. So you can see towards the bottom there's one called flipped. Now the flipped classroom is quite a different method, and some of you may already be used to this, but it's when you're doing your research and the majority of your work within the home or before you enter the classroom. So some of your lecturers may be asking you to adopt this method. It does mean that you have to be fully prepared when you go into your session. So they may give you a journal article to read, it may be a video you have to watch. And it's up to you to make enough notes and preparations so that when you go into your actual session, you can take part. So generally in the flipped classroom method, your lecturer will use what the preparation steps you've done at home as the basis for your lesson. So if you've not done those and you go into your session, you will feel a bit out of place and you will feel confused. So for that reason, if you are on programs where you've got a lot of preparation before your sessions, I'd strongly recommend that you do consider this within your time management so that you are going in supporting yourself to the best of your abilities so that when you are in the classroom you can engage. Other ways you see are blended. So this term blended you may be used to already because most of the programs, for the, in particular for the first semester, will be blended. So the majority of the sessions will take place using online, like, so, for example, WebEx or Teams, but some of you may have to attend the campus if you've got a lab session or for anything practical. So it's just good to be aware of the different types of learning that will take place. But if you'd like to know more about the other terms, make a note and you can we can discuss this in the question session towards the end of the session. So now I'm going to hand you over to your other host, Jancy.
Hi, my name's Jancy, and I'm going to talk to you about our online learning environment. So due to COVID-19, LSBU are taking a blended approach. So what this means is that you'll have a mix of online learning or remote learning and on-site teaching. You will receive more information about these arrangements that are in place for your particular course from your course director or your tutors. This blended approach will make use of certain tools. For example, we have Moodle or our VLE, where you can access your course materials. There's also MS Teams for your lectures, your seminars, and group work. Also, you'll be able to access your timetable from either the student portal, that's by LSBU, or Moodle. And we're going to look at them in a bit more detail. So we'll have the next slide. So the LSBU VLE, or our virtual learning environment, which we call Moodle, as I said, this is where you'll find your course guide, recommended reading lists, your lecture notes, presentations, everything that you will need in relation to your course. You will need your LSBU username and password before you can access Moodle. You can either type vle.lsbu.ac.uk in your preferred browser, and this will take you straight to the login page. Or you can log into your student portal, again using your LSBU username and password, and follow the link to the VLE. Then you put your credentials in. Can we have the next slide, please? Once you log in, you will be presented with your course and your modules. So as you click on the links, you'll see other links that take you to the relevant information. Thank you. Let's go to the next one, please. Again, MS Teams. As I've already said, we will be using MS Teams to deliver your lectures and your seminars. You'll need to download this app to your device. Although you can use Teams in a web browser or on your mobile phone, but for the best experience, you need to really download the desktop app. Once you've downloaded the app, you can either open it from your shortcut on the desktop or from your Windows menu. You'll need to enter your LSBU email address and ensure that you choose work or school account. And this will direct you straight to LSBU's sign-in page, and then you log in again with your LSBU username and password. Again, next slide, please. Once you're signed in, again, you'll be presented with all the teams that you belong to. Again, you just need to click on your course icon, and you'll be presented with various channels and tabs related to your course. We're going to move on to your timetable. So we'll have the next slide, please. So there's a personalized timetable, and you can access this either from your student portal, that's My LSBU, or you can type into your browser go.lsbu.ac.uk/timetable. You can also link your timetable to your mobile device as well, so that might be quite useful as well for you. Next slide, please. So there are a number of support services available to you during your studies here, but it can be quite daunting when you first start. But we have the Student Life Centre. This kind of acts as a one-stop shop, and it provides support for non-academic matters such as accommodation, careers advice, or financial advice, and it can also support you with your academic matters. You can make an appointment to speak to an advisor, or you can use the online chat or use the email function. Anything to do with your course, however, you should really contact your course administrator or your course director. So there's that support from the Student Life Center. There's also a signposting tool on Moodle. And this will also, if you pop your question in there, it will actually direct you where you need to go as well. And we also have the student IT support. So they're based in Perry Library, and they can help you to reset your password, or if you're having problems downloading the free software, they can give you support with that as well. They have a chat function online, so you can use the chat function, or if you're on campus, you can pop into Perry Library as well. So I'm going to hand you back over to Nasmin, and she's going to go through a couple more questions with you.
Lovely. Thank you so much for that, Jancy. So I've got a few more polls for you to do, and your interaction on the polls have been great. Thank you. So we've got near 100% interaction for all questions, which is good practice for you again, because it's very likely that your lecturers will probably use polls when teaching you. So it's good for you to have this practice with us now. Okay. So I don't think, has it appeared yet? Oh, apologies, as my internet's a little bit slow, so sometimes it takes. Let's try one more time. There we go. Oh yeah, I can see you can see it now. Perfect. Okay. So I can see a lot of you do enjoy using technology on a regular basis. That's the overwhelming majority. And we're in single figures for the answer no at the moment. Oh, we've got to double figures. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. I can see there's a very small few of you that don't like to use technology. It's like 1%. The rest of you enjoy it very much. Wow. So I can tell you the figures for that question. We had 287 of you who say you do enjoy using technology on a regular basis, and only 15 of you who said you don't. Well, as long as you can find a way to use the technology to support you on your studies, it's very good that you are enjoying it. But as I was mentioning earlier, be careful not to use it in the wrong domain so that you don't get distracted. But thank you for that. So we've got another question coming up shortly. I'll just wait for that poll to close. So the next question, just while I'm waiting for it to load, this is more to do with information and how you prefer to see it. So some of you may prefer on screen, other of you like the traditional way of printing. So it'll be interesting. I'll make a few comments on that in a moment once you've done the poll. So this is your last poll for the session. So thank you again for participating and being so fast with your responses. Okay. It's interesting. I can see it's around a third of you who do prefer reading on screen, and the rest of you prefer printing. But I'll let the poll finish before I give you the final results for that one. I myself used to prefer printed, but then whilst I was studying, especially on my MA program, I realized how much reading is involved and how much printing would be involved. So I made myself become more adjusted to on-screen reading through different techniques. So that's just something to bear in mind, that depending on your program, you may have a large amount of reading to do. So it may not be so efficient for you to always have the printed versions. So sometimes, although I can see most of you prefer to have the printed versions, maybe to evaluate this and see what text that you can use in printed and where you can try and find techniques to read online. So things, it could be simple steps like increasing your font sizes on screen to make it more reader friendly, to use different programs. So some of you might prefer to read or the format itself, PDF formats and so forth. It's just a word of warning, because as you see on your programs, you will have very long reading lists for each module. So you will be able to access some of the books at the library, but a lot of the time the resources are actually online. So it may not always be possible for you to have a printed version. I'm sure Jancy later on will give you some wisdom on what she prefers, but I would definitely say I used to prefer printed, but now I'm getting used to using screen version just for practical reasons. Thank you for that, everyone. Close up. Okay, so the next area I'd like to move on to is how to develop your learning and digital skills and good practice. So I think, so as you can see, there's a blended approach. So you are doing on-screen learning as well as off-screen learning, because both of them have benefits in different ways. So we'll have a look at what the different, some tips for you and why at some points it might be better for you to use off-screen or on-screen. So just before we do that, just to consider, as I said, thinking of different environments you will be learning in and how to, and where you may need to switch on and off in these different environments. This is what we call a blended approach. So part of developing these learning practices and digital skills is you have to think of your physical and mental well-being. So this includes taking regular breaks. So for example, if you're using your screen for more than an hour at a time, it can cause strain, especially to your eyes, to your posture, to your wrists, and so forth. So in that way, it is probably a good idea to have some off-screen material that you can focus on, or just to take a break so that you're not on the screen for too long. The second bullet point is quite interesting. So this is being mindful of online etiquette. So as we've mentioned numerous times, a lot of your learning will take place online. So being aware of how you should conduct yourself online is very important, because for some reason we do see that people can be different online to how they are in a physical space. But I always say you should always maintain that etiquette. So it's things like making sure you're listening, making sure you're taking notes as you would, being mindful of how you are posing your questions. Sometimes you will be given the opportunity to use your mics and videos, and just making sure that you are using online etiquette, that you're not, not interrupting and other things like that. And the other area is to make sure you're engaged. So it's very easy to turn off, especially if you've got someone speaking for long periods of time. But obviously, this is the main mode of learning for the moment. So you have to find ways that you can stay engaged. So I always say, if you've got your pen and paper with you, or you're taking notes on screen, it means that you are engaging rather than just being a recipient of learning of the. So in that way, you're engaging, you're taking your notes, and you're more likely to stay within the session and not start using browsers or looking into Facebook while you should be learning. And also, I'm not sure if you've already taken part in this, but we do have a LSBU self-assessment. So I would definitely say take time to complete this. I think it takes on average up to half an hour, but once you complete it, it will be a good indication for where you need to look for different services to support you. It'll give you an idea on, for example, you might have a set of questions relating to research, and you found that actually the techniques you're using are limited, so then it might signpost you to the library. Or it could be that in the section for your academic practice, you've noticed that there's shortfalls. Again, you'll know where you should be signposted to. So I'll definitely say, if you've not done so already, take time to complete this, because it will help you set out your learning for your program. So another area just to think of your time management. There are a few apps. So some of you may already be quite good at time management, and you may have allocated time. So as we've indicated earlier, it's not just a case of looking at your timetable, because more often than not, you will have a lot of learning to do before your actual session. So you will mean that it could be the evening before, or if your session's in the afternoon, you take the morning to do some preparation. So for that reason, you have to, from now, think of your time management skills. Think about where you're going to allocate that time to do your reading. It could be that you're someone who prefers taking time at night, or it could be your early bird. It's just working out your time frames and making sure you have enough time for your own personal duties, as well as making sure you've got time for your study, your sessions, and other duties you have. So there's two apps that you can have a go at. So probably after the session, you can download these on your phone or have a look on the online Play Store just to see if they work for you. The first one is a time management app. It's called Clockwork Tomato. So the way that one works is it splits up activities so that everything is in 25-minute periods. So it's meant to be there to keep you on target for what you're working on, and it gives you alerts of when you should be taking breaks and so forth. And the other one, Cold Turkey, this one is for those of you who can get distracted more easily through things such as Facebook or just surfing the internet or other apps. So what it actually does is it blocks off certain sites to keep you on target. So if you know you're someone who gets easily distracted, I'd definitely advise you having a look at that one and seeing if it works for you. Okay, so I'm going to pass you back over to Jancy so she can tell you a little bit more about her services and the services in digital skills. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Nazamin. Yeah, so the Digital Skills Center, we offer one-to-one training or group training for all the core Microsoft Office applications. So we're talking about Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Access. You can arrange an appointment by emailing us, and that's digitalskills@lsbu.ac.uk, and we'll make an appointment for you. All our appointments will be carried out via Teams. There's no on-site support at the moment from the Digital Skills Training team. In addition, you will also have access to LinkedIn Learning. So LinkedIn Learning is a free resource for LSBU students, and it contains a number of courses and videos covering a wide range of subjects. In addition to that, we also offer you the chance to enroll on the Microsoft Office Specialist Certification course. This is a self-study program, and it's endorsed by Microsoft itself. It is heavily subsidized, and it offers you the chance to validate your digital skills. So it's a fantastic opportunity for students to enroll on this. And if you look at any of the job applications at the moment, you'll see most of them ask for a Microsoft Office qualification, whether that's in Word or Excel or PowerPoint. So it will look good on your CV. So it is something you should really consider undertaking. Again, self-study course at a very cheap price at the moment. So that's the Digital Skills Center. I'm going to put you back to Nazamin, and she's going to say a lot more about skills for learning. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. So you can see within the digital skills, there's a lot on offer for you. So I would definitely start investigating that. Well, for skills for learning, some of you who come from a different program or are continuing your studies, you'll see that we've got lots of refresher courses that will take place, I think, in 2 weeks' time. So we've got workshops similar to what I've delivered today alongside Jancy. We've got them on academic writing practices, note-taking, research skills and so forth. So we've got different range of services. So there are workshops. They take place throughout term time, and they're 50-minute sessions. You do have to register in advance for those, but they're definitely useful for you. We've tried to repeat some of the sessions at different time slots because we're aware that you all have different timetables. So if there's something you really want to attend, look out for the different time slots in case the first one you see isn't suitable for you. The other options you can use with our services, we have like a drop-in session as well. So they'll take place at a specific time. You'll probably receive an alert for that in the next few weeks as we're just trying to finalize this. But where you can come in with a short query, so it could be a short section of your work. Again, it will be online, so it would probably be through Microsoft Teams. So you can show us a snippet of your work and we can give you some feedback. We also are offering one-to-one appointments. So they're 30-minute appointments where you can bring your work, similar to the drop-ins, but whereas the drop-ins are more short, so you'd see us for about 15 minutes. Whereas the one-to-ones, you get an appointment with one of the advisors and you'll see us for 30 minutes. And it could be that you need help with planning, or do you just want some guidance with your academic practices and so forth. So there's some of the services we are offering, but you can also support yourself as if you visit our Moodle page where we've got mini modules. So you can start doing some of our modules as from this week. So we've got different topics you can go through. We do also have math support. So many of you may need to refresh your math skills for some of your modules, especially if you're on a nursing program for drug calculations, or even for the engineers who might need some support. So they also have some sessions, but they have a lot more drop-in sessions that will operate. So again, please look out for the timetable for that. They're very good because normally the advisor will use an online whiteboard, so you can go through practice questions together. If you want more information regarding that, you can visit our Moodle page, which will be on your home page of your program. Thank you. So we've come to the end of our part of the session, so it's over to your questions now. So Jancy and I will try and answer as many as we can during this last 20 minutes.
And there are a couple of questions just popping up about enrollment. We can't deal with enrollment questions. I suggest you email enroll@lsbu.ac.uk. So if you're having any issues with the enrollment or you haven't received anything, contact enroll@lsbu.ac.uk. A couple of questions about logging into Moodle or logging into your student portal. If you are fully enrolled and you have a student number, you need to activate your accounts. Some of them will take 24 hours after you've activated them as well. So if you haven't got a student number and you have not set up your LSBU email and student number and password, you can't access any of these apps. So first thing, you have to ensure you've got your student number. Then you need to activate your account. So we'll take you into the library, we'll get you into your Moodle, it'll get you into your student portal. So hopefully that answers it.
I can see you've been answering as you've been going, so I'm trying to see. That's excellent. I think there's an interesting question. I think that was related to when I was speaking about the flipped classroom approach and will it be seen in your timetables. It depends on your program. So normally if it is they're using this approach, you'll probably be told from your first session. So it may be that it's expected for you to make time to do that, the learning in your own time. So it won't be stated a specific time for you to do the flipped approach, but you'll know from the way your lecturers are speaking how they'll be teaching. So it's quite, I don't think there's a specific answer for that question. Let's keep going.
There's a couple of questions about downloading the free software. You don't need to be on campus to download the free software. You need to go through the student portal, and there's a link on there that comes via the library with a link to the free software. The software itself or the login is on Moodle, and from there you can download the free software. Again, you just need to ensure that you've got your student LSBU email address and the password that you've created, and then you can download the free material, this free software. I think I saw something about 2019. And what's on there is Office 365, which is the web-based version of the software. So you have Office 365 web-based, and then you can download the desktop version. I think 2019 is on there, or you can roll back to 2016. Yeah. So the web version is okay. You know, it's nice if you're moving from a machine to different machines and you've got your work on the cloud, that's fine. But the desktop version is sometimes better because you have more features. So you can have both, Office 365 or the desktop version.
We had a question related to books, and if we've got the ones that read to you. Yeah, so I think that's when it's voice operated, where you can, so it's a voice software, so that you can click the book and it will read. Okay. I think where in the process, that's more of a question for the library, where for accessibility that a lot of the books have got this feature, but I wouldn't be sure if it's all books. So if for that one, I'd say definitely visit the library. Yeah. They've got an online chat similar to most of the pages, so you can ask there. Again, timetabling.
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
Sorry, while you're scrolling through, Nasbin, there's a question about on my Teams account, I'm not part of any teams. That's all in the process. Your course directors will add you to all the teams that you need to get access to. So just wait. So I'll just wait.
I think we're still in week 0, aren't we? So it could be that it's just a week or so before you receive.
Yeah.
Things. But I know, like I'm teaching on the nursing program. A lot of the students are enrolling as we're speaking, so we're getting updates. So probably this week or next week, you'll get a lot of links coming out where you'll be asked to join. So if you've not been asked to do so, I wouldn't worry.
And I think there's another question about, do you give permission for the university to make changes to your device? I think yes, because it's really just asking to have access to your microphone and to your camera. Yeah, so it's not taking over your laptop per se, but you can give it authorization to access your camera and your audio.
Yeah, that's correct. Similar to like WebEx even, to listen to the audio. But it won't be operating outside of when you're using the app. In terms of getting devices, I can see some questions from your programs. Again, that's not something we can answer. You'd have to go to your program lead to see with that one. Seeing if there's any related that we can answer.
That's
a lot of them are regarding to emails and so forth. I think you've mentioned quite a lot on that.
Yeah.
Software you download. Again, I'd say what I'd do is I'll go back to the slide where you put the signposting. That'd be handy for.
And while I ask what is your username and your password, there's a question there. So in order for you to send emails to your course tutors and for you to receive emails, because once you're enrolled, your personal email address will not be used. The university all official correspondence will come through to your LSBU username and your password. So the email is going to be based on your surname, an initial, and possibly a number. And the password is whatever you've created your password to be. So in order to access anything at the LSBU, your email, your Moodle, Teams, you need a LSBU username and a password. The password is what you create, and the email address is generated based on your surname, your initial, and possibly a number, and you have to be fully enrolled before you can activate any of your LSBU accounts. So that means you need a student number or a student ID. That number, that ID is 7 digits, and it normally begins with the number 3. So the number that you had while you were going through enrollment is not necessarily the same number that you have once you're fully enrolled. So if it doesn't recognize it, it means it's not the right student number. You have to be fully enrolled.
You'll be, just look out for your emails. You'll be getting these as throughout the next few weeks. So as Jancy was saying, it will most likely be 2 different numbers. So just look out for that. I can see a question for your reading list on your program. That will be on your Moodle page. So for each module you're doing on your program, you'll have a different reading list. So once you enter the page, you'll see an area which says reading list, and that's where you'll find that. Okay, another question related to, will this session be available online? It's being recorded, so I'm not sure where you can access it afterwards, but it's definitely being recorded. Jancy, are you aware of this or not?
Which one, sorry?
So the question is, will this session be available online? If so, where?
I have no idea myself, sorry. I suppose be somewhere on that welcome week where they signed up to get onto this course. That's what they're normally doing, is putting it back there.
But it's being recorded. So
yeah.
I think you'll be able to access it definitely through Moodle once we upload it.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
I haven't seen any other questions. Can you see any more?
Sorry, I'm still scrolling through.
Yeah, same. They keep jumping at the new questions.
Yeah. So in terms of content on your Moodle sites, this is controlled by your course directors. Some of the sites might not have been switched on as yet. They will become live at the appropriate time. If you think that you should be seeing stuff on your Moodle sites, you need to contact your course administrator or your course directors. They control the Moodle site, so access is through your course directors. But if you're not fully enrolled, you will not have access to Moodle. So it's all based on you being fully enrolled. So that could be one of the issues there as well.
Yeah, there's a few questions coming up again. I think that related to the courses you were saying about Microsoft.
Okay.
Should I go back a slide for you? Will that help?
No, if they want to see, I can talk about.
Okay.
Let me see what the question is.
So it's just let me go back to it. So it's jumped again. I'll read it out to you. No worries.
No, you don't have to do. No, you don't have to do MOS now. No, to be honest, I would say to you, I have not met any student who has managed to do this qualification alongside their degree program. So I would recommend. Okay,
in that case, I'll leave it.
Yeah, sorry. I would recommend that you don't sign up for it. Just park it for now. When you, like during the summer, once you've done your exams, say after year 1, you've done your exams, you've put all your coursework in, and you've got a couple of months. I would then sign up for it. Then you get a year to do it, however. But it's really hard to do it alongside your studies. So I say do it in the summer months because it's online. It's all online anyway. So as long as you've got you don't even need internet access. As long as you download the software onto your device, you get an access code from us, and then you get on with your studies. So I always say to students, when you know you've got time, that's all you're going to do, sign up for it then.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I wouldn't put any added pressure on yourselves to complete other things, because you'll notice your degree programs will be quite draining as it is. So for you to do any other courses is not recommended. I can see a question related to skills for learning on our math session. At the moment, all sessions are online. So we will have some workshops, but if you're referring to the one-to-ones or the drop-in, they'll be through Microsoft Teams. They operate quite well. We've had good feedback. So there'll be sessions. Sometimes, if it's a group session, you can listen in on other students' questions, which is quite helpful because often you all have similar questions and you can see what the tutor's saying in regards to that question, so you can pick up different skills that way. They do have limited one-to-one appointments, but mainly they'll be running online drop-in sessions through Microsoft Teams, similar to our English ones, where we'll be having more one-to-one appointments and fewer drop-in sessions. Hope that answers your question.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry. Let me.
Oh, there's a few questions that I think they're more related to enrollment, so things of activating your account and your. And I can see another question related to your student ID and so forth. That you have to ask the registration and enrollment team. They'll help you with that.
Yep. Your LSBU email is through Outlook. Yeah, and you can access your LSBU email either from your student portal or there is a link on the VLE.
There's a question, how do you download your personalized timetable to your phone? Is there an app for that, Jency, you know of, or is it it'll be different for each Moodle page? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think from the student portal, that's my LSBU, there is a link to your timetable, or you can use the link that we said, go.lsbu.ac.uk/timetable. And then there's a button on the top right, and it says administration. And from the administration button, it'll ask you for the mobile number, and then it'll push it to your mobile device. Thanks for that, Nazmin. Yeah. So look for the administration button on the top right. Yep. LinkedIn. You can just go to LinkedIn. If you've got a LinkedIn profile as well, it links to that as well. So LinkedIn, you go to LinkedIn, and obviously you don't want to click on anything that asks you for your payment details and your bank card, etc., because it's free to LSBU. So there is a link that asks you to go through your organization, and in there you put in your LSBU credentials, and then you'll get access to LinkedIn. Sorry, I'm still going through it. See if there's any questions.
I think a lot of them. I've tried to group the questions where possible, so I think they are getting answered. With your course administrators, you should know them generally through when you're applying, because depending on the program you're on, some of you may have had interviews and so forth where you've met them. If not, once you enter the Moodle page, every module you do has the name of the module leader, the program leader, course administrator. So what I'd say is just have a play around your Moodle pages, and if you can find a module that's open the front page and you'll be able to find some of these details.
Yeah. And there's a question about LinkedIn Premium. I don't think I mentioned the word premium. So you get access to LinkedIn Learning. I don't know about the premium side of it. You get access to LinkedIn Learning. And a mobile number, it doesn't matter that it's not a UK number. You just put your mobile number in, and it should link to your...
the Outlook, isn't it? That's the main thing.
Yeah. So your timetable. And so, as I said earlier, some of the accounts, you need 24 hours before it's activated, because you have to give the database time to refresh itself. So, yes, you can set them up, but sometimes you have to wait to get into some of them. I'm sorry, I'm still looking.
I think we've answered most of them because I can group them. Skills for Learning book. Okay. There's one about do we have access to Skills for Learning books rather than buying them at the library? You should have a lot of the books. So there's one book I'd recommend, which is the Stella Cottrell Study Skills. We did have an online version of that. So The other thing to do is if you look at our Moodle page, so the Skills for Learning one, we do have a reading list. So sometimes you'll see on how to access it online. So I wouldn't be able to say for all the different books, but certainly there are some on the LSBU library page which are online and free to access. So have a look and you should be able to find at least 1 or 2 books that can support you on your program. Alternatively, just if you go through our site, as I said, there's lots and lots of materials which are derived from a lot of books. So it'd be handy for you to have a read of these.
Sorry, a couple of questions about face-to-face enrollment. That means you'll be invited to come in on campus. We don't have anything to do with that, so you'd have to check your emails.
Yeah.
You'd be
They're
invited
staggered anyway, aren't they, Jency?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you'd have to look out for an email when you are supposed to come in to complete your enrollment. There's another question about Google Meet. I'm not sure why.
I don't think we're using that.
We're not using.
Yeah.
I doubt it. I think the MS Teams is what you'll be using for your lectures. So Google Meet, I don't think so. Something about nursing induction, you need to go back to your course director and explain that you couldn't log in. Can we add our university emails to our mobile? Yes, you can. If you're not fully enrolled and you haven't been able to access your Outlook email from a laptop or something like that, you have to download Outlook to your mobile device, and you can have multiple accounts. You can have multiple accounts on your Outlook. So you'd have to put in your LSBU credentials. So it might be that you're not fully enrolled. If you can't get into your VLE and you can't get into Outlook, maybe you're not fully enrolled yet, or you have to just wait some time.
I've got a few questions which what related to reading materials and DDS support. For those, you'd have to send your question to that team. We do have DDS support, so they may have better advice to give you in terms of how to access books with different features to support your reading. I think they have a session taking place in the Welcome Week, but I can't remember when it is. So what I'd say is have a look at the Welcome Week timetable and try and attend the DDS or Wellbeing sessions, and you'll get more advice related to that. If not, I think they've got live chat on their page as well, so that will help you in the meantime.